Join the conversation. Follow Jason on Twitter. And don't forget to visit the live show fan page on Facebook.
How the world leaders were duped into investing billions over manipulated global warming data. That is the headline from the UK Daily Mail. It says the Mail on Sunday today reveals astonishing evidence that the organization that the world leaders sourced of climate data rushed to publish a landmark paper that exaggerated global warming and was timed to influence the historic Paris Agreement climate change. Agreement on climate change. Now, I don't know what's astonishing about this because I've been talking about this since we started talking about climate change. It's not astonishing. These guys shell out bogus data all the time. In fact, they're incentivized to do it because if you don't produce something that shows climate change is happening and it's getting worse, then you're not going to get any grant money. He went on to say the report claimed that the pause or the slowdown, this is the faked report that they sent to the Paris Climate Accord, so that the slowdown in global warming in the period since 1998, revealed by the UN scientists in 2013, never existed, and that world temperatures had been rising faster than scientists expected. Ooh. So there is no such thing, this particular scientific study said, about the slowdown. The pause is what they call it, the global warming pause. But the whistleblower, Dr. John Bates, a top NOAA scientist with an impeccable reputation, has shown the Mail on Sunday irrefutable evidence that the paper was based on misleading, unverified data. Now, I know that you guys think that I'm just some knucklehead up here with a microphone and that I really don't understand this, and I've had several people, one person said, I had my wife listen to your show, and you opened up with some climate scientist stuff, and she said, is he a global warming denier? And the guy said, yeah, he sort of is. And she didn't want to listen to the show. Excuse me. She didn't want to listen to the show because I was a climate scientist or climate change denier. Now, first, you need to understand, I am not a climate change denier. I don't deny that the climate changes. That would make me an idiot. What I deny is that any of this data can be used as accurate or interpreted to mean that we are causing temperatures to rise, and that's going to be a terrible thing in the future. I mean, think about one of the major presumptions in that belief is that what the temperature is right now is the optimal temperature for the Earth. That where we're at right now is the best temperature that we could possibly have. And if we go up 2 degrees, that the life on Earth as we know it is going to end. Because that's what they're projecting. They're saying every decade, this is what's crazy. The evidence in this report said that every decade, every 10 years, temperatures rise on average 1/10 of 1 degree. That means over the course of 100 years, you're going to get about a 1 degree temperature change. Now, that does not true, I guess, from 2000 and what'd they say during the great pause, 1998 to 2013. There was a great pause in there where temperatures didn't rise. So during that time period, we call this the great pause, but they're still going up. But for the last, decade and a half, hadn't seen any rise in temperature.
That was a very inconvenient truth for
the
climate scientists.
It was an unfortunate truth for their theory. And so when you talk about changes in data, and we talked about a while back it being the hottest year on record, they're talking about a difference between 0.113 degree rise over the decade and a 0.116 degree rise. That is 3/1000th of a degree. It is within the margin of error. It is impossible for them to know whether that's accurate or not. They don't have the technology that goes back far enough and specific enough technology in order to make those kind of minute guesstimates as to what temperatures were 100 years ago. And to prove my point, I've taken enough crap for this for long enough. Darren and I were talking about it the other day, and we said we just need to do a show on climate change. We need to go to NOAA's website. We need to go to the government's website where they are pulling this data from, where they are posting it, and we need to tell you what they say about their own data. Because once you read what they say about their own stuff, it will put to bed any notion that anything you're getting from these climate scientists can be used in making any sort of decisions about what we do moving forward. Because they openly admit that they're missing huge chunks of data. It's like when Piketty did Capital in the 21st century. If he didn't have data for a specific period, he just made it up. And economists took a look at the data in his book and they said, well, there's no data for this, or this data is wrong. Where did you get this data? And he's like, well, we didn't have any data for that. So we just had to sort of make it up and put something in. And we just happened to put in data that would produce the outcome that we wanted. Well, on their own website, the government admits they do the same thing with climate change. That there are massive amounts of data that they don't have, or that they can't possibly know for certain what the climate was in a given area. And so they just guess. They just put in whatever they want. This entire thing is a hoax. There's no doubt.
You want a little sample of this?
Yeah, go ahead. Give them a little taste of it, because we've been kind of putting this together. And I'm sorry, guys. I have one of the biggest weeks of the year this week for me. And so I haven't had time to put this stuff together, but Darren and I, starting next week, are going to start putting this together so that we can lay out a decent show for
Just as you were talking about that, I just pulled up NASA's website. So the nasa.gov website, and they have an FAQ section that talks about the data that they use and the models that they use to make these reports, like the 2016 was the warmest on record. And I just scrolled down, and one of the questions is, how accurate are the GISS results? And GISS is the data model that they use. And their answer is the GISS results are really estimates based on the available data. Accurate error estimates are hard to obtain. However, it is likely that the largest contribution to the margin of error is given by the temporal and the spatial data gaps. Basically what they're saying is we have incomplete information, so we really just make guesses. And the guesses aren't based on the raw data, it's based on adjusted data. And we'll go into what the differences are between that data when we do the special show. But I mean, if you just go to that FAQ section and you read what they say about their data, no objective person can look at that and say, oh yeah, there's not a possibility this whole thing is wrong, that the data that they're using is fraudulent and incorrect. It's astonishing to me, just reading that one page of question and answer from the government's website, and people wonder why you would question climate science.
Well, and what makes it worse is that not only are the models incomplete, and not only is this not science, not in the clear objective science that we would look to make decisions with, but they're talking about taking $1 trillion a year of your money and reallocating it to other countries so that they can lower the effects of climate change around the world. Climate change is nothing but a massive redistribution program where they claim that there's a problem, they create a bunch of faulty data, they turn it over to a bunch of government lackeys who then turn around and take your money through taxation and spread it out wherever they want it to go. It is a funneling operation to separate you from your wealth, all the while increasing the costs on every bit of energy that you use. This is not about helping you. It's designed to control you.